Hi, everyone, and thank you very much for having me at this event. My apologies that I was not able to attend attend in person, but it's a great pleasure to speak to everyone. My name is Alex Epshteyn, as mentioned, and I am leading Project Kuiper's efforts for the WRC agenda and also the technical work at ITR. So what is Amazon's Project Kuiper? It is our initiative to increase global broadband access through a constellation of satellites in low Earth orbit. Our primary mission is to deliver fast, affordable broadband to unserved and underserved communities all over the world. And we know that this is an initiative that is greatly needed around the world. This is a great need for society to bring connections to the unserved and underserved communities all over the world. And we know that unfortunately, this is a big problem that we are facing, bridging the digital divide, as there are billions of people on Earth that currently do not have reliable internet access, they do not have access at all, or they do not have internet access that essentially conforms to broadband standards. So this chart just essentially indicates how much broadband access is lacking all over the world. And unfortunately, this is a very big problem that we are facing, and one that Amazon and our Project Kuiper, Kuiper Low Earth Orbit Constellation is trying to tackle and address this issue. So, so I mentioned a little bit of overview of our mission, but what exactly is Kuiper? It's built around the Kuiper system. It's a truly global network where we will deploy satellites in low Earth orbit, 590 kilometers, 610, and 630 kilometers at various altitudes and inclinations, allowing us to deliver high-speed service to anywhere essentially around the globe. We will have scale. We will have thousands of satellites in low Earth orbits. We will have gateways, and we will have, the Amazon machine with global networking and internet providers all over the world to be able to connect those that do not currently have connections. And what our impact? We are trying to again bring affordable broadband to communities, households, businesses all over the world, those that need it. So this slide essentially gives an overview of our planned customers: residential, small businesses, public service, enterprise and transportation, emergency and telecommunication services. Those are just some of the customer base that we plan on having with our project or our program. These are our customer terminals that we will deploy when we initiate our service. This was just released to the public last year. So as you can see here, we have 3 customer terminals here, a very small antenna that's capable of 100 megabits per second. So it's 7 inches by 7 inches or 18 centimeters by 18 centimeters. So if you think about that of a very small tablet, it's roughly that size. A medium-sized antenna that's really your household antenna that will be able to provide broadband to a house, capable of 400 megabits per second, and then a larger antenna that's more for enterprise uses of 1 gigabytes per second download. So what is our timeline? In 2022, we procured the largest launch contract in history with Arianespace, ULA, and Blue Origin. And essentially, we bought enough rocket space to be able to launch our constellations. This last year, we have launched and successfully operated, and we have blown through all of the major milestones we had for our prototype Kuipersat 1 and Kuiper 2 Sat 2 satellites. And then later this year, we will commence our full production and launches of our production satellites. And then in 2026, we forecast that 50% of our constellation will be operational. So, of course, having a great satellite system is very important to being able to provide connectivity. As others have mentioned before me, satellite systems are really great of being able to provide connectivity anytime and anywhere across the world. But really, achieving universal access to broadband will really necessitates a very good spectrum and regulatory environment. And that is because to truly bridge the digital divide and connect as many folks as possible, we really need satellite capacity and access to spectrum. And that's really only attainable by a predictable and enabling regulatory environment for all technologies. And obviously, as we go through this, protection of services while ensuring spectrum efficiency is essential to meet universal goals to increase connectivity. So the way I always like to approach regulations for systems like Kuiper is that we're really playing catch up in the low Earth orbit, especially for commercial satellite services. It's really something that regulations were developed a long time ago, some 20, 25 years ago, and then there's really a lot of the companies that were enabling in, let's say, the late 1990s, early 2000s, really never really took off. So a lot of regulations and spectrum policy for systems like NGSO systems have really only started to be active again, I would say within the last 5 years or so, is really playing catch up and developing regulations. So one of the aspects that is most being discussed at the ITUR and also very, I'm sure folks know if you participate in WRC 23, one of the main regulatory issues related to satellite systems like Kuiper and non-geostationary satellite systems are EPFD limits. And there's a number of international and country by country regulations related to EPFD limits, and it's really regulations that govern how satellite systems, how NGSO satellite systems share with geostationary satellite systems. And the regulations that were developed 25 years ago really limit the capacity and really limit the full potential of non-geostationary satellite services. So WRC 27 invited technical studies on these limits, and that is something that Kuiper we are actively involved in and actively being discussed at Working Party 4A and also in other forums around the world. And we just invite participation in these regulatory studies. We do believe that there's an opportunity here for a win-win situation to redefine, not redefine, but ensure that existing services are protected, but really enhance spectral efficiency and spectrum services so that non-geostationary systems like Kuiper and other services, as are being discussed by other panelists, are able really to fully take advantage of our system and capacity and provide broadband to as many people as possible with the additional capacity that's coming online of our systems. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention and welcome any questions that anyone may have. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Alex, for your presentation, and congratulations from our side for successfully developing Kuiper project. So, yes, we have questions on site from audience.
Thank you. So first, I'd like to say that I am not completely aware of the current state of the technology, but for what I understand, Starlink has an ongoing similar project. So how would Project Kuiper plan to outperform the Starlink constellation? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question. So the short answer is that there's enough capacity and enough demand out there in the world that we need as many constellations as possible in order to provide the capacity and the coverage to bridge the digital divide. So I always like to say that if every single constellation was successful, that is being planned and being envisioned, there would still be a gap in the digital divide. So we need Kuiper, we need Starlink, we need the geostationary satellite services, and we really need spectral efficiency for all of these services to operate as well as possible in order to bridge the digital divide. And that's the ultimate goal, to have enough capacity out there in order to bridge the digital divide and connect as many folks as possible. And we really need all of these satellite systems in order to do that. The market and the demand is is enough to have both constellations.
And Alex, could you specify about the timeline Kuiper services in Europe and in our region, Baltic region?
Yeah, thank you very much. So obviously, we will launch 50% of the constellation by 2026, and we're launching the first phase this year with customer trials beginning. So we anticipate that we will roll out services worldwide as coverage is available. I can't get into very specifics with you in this forum, but as imagined, 50% of the constellation by 2026 will be enough to provide global coverage.